and welcome to First Christian Church. Here are a few announcements for you today. This morning is our monthly Panther Pride Sunday. We are honoring the JCHS Choral Department's show choir called A Touch of Class. We're hosting a breakfast in their honor at 9:45, and they will sing for us today at our 10:45 worship service. We're gearing up for our biggest outreach of the year, Sweet Street, on October 31st. In just 8 short days, we will have over 4,000 people in our back parking lot. We need your help. We really need candy. Cost of supplying candy for a booth is between $50 and $60. Can you or you and a friend sponsor a booth? We still need about 6 more booths, or about $300. Contact Angie today if you can help. We would like to invite you to join us for our Wednesday evening Bible studies called Family Ties. Dinner is at 6 p.m. with Bible studies immediately following. On the menu this week, Sloppy Joe's, macaroni and cheese, veggies, and dessert. It's getting closer to basketball season. If you're interested in playing on one of the FCC basketball teams, please sign up in the foyer. Games start on November 8th. We're in the final stages before our Operation Christmas Child Packing Party on November 6th. We still need about 100 washcloths and bars of soap, as well as scissors, glue sticks, and toothbrushes. Please put these items in the little red wagon by the elevator. Speaking of Christmas, it's time to get started on the children's Christmas play. If you would like to volunteer to help, or if your child wants to participate in the play, please see Rose Craig immediately after church. We are now taking registrations for Crafty Saturday for anyone wanting to be a vendor. Last year, we filled up both the fellowship hall and the children's area. Cost is only $20 for booth space. Please contact the church office or go online to the church website to get a registration form. Crafty Saturday is for everyone who would like to come. There are even more upcoming events listed in your bulletin. And don't forget that we keep our church website, Facebook page, and Twitter filled with the latest and greatest happenings here at First Christian Church. That's it for our announcements. We hope you have a great week.
take a look at the book of Numbers for the next handful of weeks. Wanted to kind of show you a little clip that gives you a good summarization of what the book of Numbers is all about. But the recurring theme that you saw both in the book of Numbers and you saw in the video was the attitude of the Israelites, of God's children, was not what it should have been. Matter of fact, their attitude was very, very dangerous. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We are so discouraged and frustrated with the challenges of life. How much of that has to do, how much of our frustration and challenges have to do with our attitude? And all about having the wrong attitude at the wrong time. There are a couple of various dangerous attitudes that I want to talk about this morning. These are attitudes that all of us are tempted with. Some probably tempted more than others, but we are all tempted with having these attitudes. And the first attitude that I want to talk about this morning that we're all tempted with is the attitude of dissatisfaction. That was one of the recurring things with the Israelites. They were dissatisfied with this. They were dissatisfied with that. They were dissatisfied with Moses. And they were dissatisfied with God. And they were dissatisfied with the food. And then they were dissatisfied because they couldn't be in the promised land. And the list goes on and on. They were just dissatisfied people. And dissatisfaction comes when our attention shifts from what we have to what we don't have. The people of Israel didn't seem to notice what God was doing for them. Instead, they were spending way too much time trying to figure out and ask for what they didn't have. They were so envious of the good food that they had in Egypt that they wanted to go back to that. You know, we have the same attitude. When we overlook our blessings we have in our lives, it's because we're focused on all the things that we don't have, instead of being grateful for what we do have. We overlook our family, we overlook our work, we overlook our homes, we overlook our church, because we're focused so much on what we don't have. It's amazing how quickly these Hebrew slaves forget. They were wishing they were back in Egypt. Now, how quickly they forget that brutal whip of the taskmasters. And even though they received that, that's how they got their food. It's amazing of what they forgot. Let's take a look at Numbers 11, 4 through 6. Contemptible people among them had strong cravings for other food, and the Israelites cried again and said, "Who will feed us meat? We remember the free fish we ate in Egypt, along with the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and garlic. But now our appetite is gone. There is nothing to look at but this manna." It's amazing. Again, they're overlooking the blessing because they're so focused on what they don't have. They literally saw a miracle every single morning when they got up. When they got up and they would open up their tents to face the day, along with the dew that was on the ground was this manna, this food from heaven. And can you imagine that? Opening up the tent doors, wondering what you're going to eat today, in the middle of a desert, and you look and God has provided this food. Now, we don't know what manna is. We don't know. I can't tell you what its ingredients are. I can't tell you what it tastes like. The quickest thing that from the Bible that we can gain is it would make it into a pastry, and it kind of had that delicious pastry taste. But they got tired of that, and they wanted meat. Again, this amazing sight that they would see every single morning on God providing them food, and they had the nerve to ask for more or for something else. But are we like them? Before we judge them too harshly, how many times are we the same way? How much of the time are we grateful for what God has given us? Or are we constantly thinking of what we don't have? We should not allow our unfulfilled desires to cause us to forget God's gifts of blessings, of life, of food, of health, of work, and friends. But the Israelites were dissatisfied with the miracle. But how many times are we dissatisfied because we're not focusing on where we've been blessed? They wanted more meat. They wanted more than what God was giving them. But what are you asking God? And the challenge that I have for you when we think about this is, next time you're praying to God, and I always encourage people to have their quiet time with God, pray to God, talk to Him, speak with Him. Next time you're having your quiet time with God, and you're thinking of all the things that you're going to request or you're going to ask for, make sure you're doing it with the right attitude. Seeking God with a humble attitude and a thoughtful attitude will help you grow spiritually and will help you keep your focus on what you're blessed in. The Israelites had been freed from slavery. They had been led through the parting of the Red Sea and all the plagues of Egypt that skipped their land. They had seen amazing things. They'd seen this magnificent cloud during the day that they followed and a pillar of fire by night that they followed. They saw amazing things. And they were blessed immensely. But in the middle of all these things they were blessed with, they were focused on what they didn't have. Same goes true with your life. You're blessed. You're blessed in amazing ways. You're blessed with your family. You're blessed with your church. You're blessed with a job to provide. You're blessed with friends. We're crazy blessed. But how much of the time are we spending more time looking at what we don't have? We don't have the kind of car we want to drive. We don't have the house that we want. We don't want to have the family and friends that we want. We have to put up with family and friends that we don't want. The list goes on and on. We're so focused on what we don't have or what we're currently having to put up with that we're losing sight of the blessing. It all has to do with your attitude. So how's your attitude? Are you one that just has an attitude of dissatisfaction? You're just constantly wishing you had more or wishing you had different? Or are you someone who is exceedingly grateful for the blessings that they have in their life? It reminds me of a story of the Norwegian violinist, Old Bull. And Old Bull had a practical father. He was a chemist and he studied in the University of Christina. But his father was paying his way and told him he was going to study ministry, not the violin. Well, ministry was not where his interest was. That's not where his passion was. His passion was in playing the violin. So naturally, he flunked out. He flunked out and spent all his energy going to all these various teachers, learning how to play the violin. The problem was the violin, the teachers that he was going to, were just adequate. They weren't very good. But it was what he had, so he worked with them. Well, he got scheduled for this tour of concerts. And he plays his first concert, let's just say, it didn't go very well. He wasn't prepared. So, the next morning he reads the newspaper, and this guy has a quote, this critic has a quote saying about him that he is an untrained musician. If he's a diamond, he is certainly in the rough and unpolished. And he could have done one or two things. He could have got mad and went home and started studying something else. Or he could continue to pursue playing the violin. And he chose the violin. And what he did is he went to that newspaper office, found out who the critic was, and went to that critic's house and took notes on what he needed to do differently to become a good violinist. After he received this advice, he went home and he studied with the best teachers that he could find. 6 months he did nothing but study and practice until he started again. And it was at that time that he became a sensation all over Europe at the age of 26. When we're dissatisfied, it's because, again, we're overlooking our blessings and focusing in on what we don't have. And that leads to the second dangerous attitude. That leads to the attitude of complaining. Verses 7 through 9 says this: The manna resembled coriander seed, and its appearance was like that of bdellium. the people walked around and gathered it. They grounded it on a pair of grinding stones and crushed it into a mortar, then boiled it in a cooking pot and shaped it into cakes. It tastes like pastry cooked with the finest oil. Then the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna would boil with it. So that kind of gives you an idea what manna was. It was the substance that they would pick up and they would cook it in this way. The best way I can kind of describe it as a pastry, kind of like a donut or something. But it was nutritious too. How many of us would sign up for eating something that was nutritious and taste like a donut? I think we would love that. Now, when you leave here today, don't go to the donut shop expecting to lose weight. Not going to happen for you. But even though they had that, they still wanted more. They still wanted something different. And they continued to complain. Now it's interesting. When the Israelites complained, God handled it negatively. Because they were complaining to one another. It just became griping. Griping and doing nothing to accomplish, nothing to solve the issue. They just were choosing to continue to be part of the problem instead of actively seeking to be a solution. Because of that, God dealt with them harshly. God gave them meat, then struck them with plague. It was because their attitude was not one of fixing anything. It was the attitude of complaining and griping. I mean, let's be honest. How many of us, when something isn't going our way or it's not going as planned, we complain, don't we? And it's easier to complain to people because you have something to talk about, because you have something to complain about, and it's fascinating because the more people you complain to people, well, guess what? They also have complaints. And then it just becomes nothing but a complaining conversation of the various things over and over again. But what does that accomplish? The next time you complain, ask yourself, how is that helping me? We actually, as you go on to read this passage, we need to learn from Moses. Moses had a complaint. But God handled Moses very positively. God said he was going to bring him meat. Moses said how. Moses was very concerned with the amount of meat that they would have to account for. So he complained to God. But when he complained to God, he wasn't just spreading rumors. He wasn't adding to the problem. He was going to his quiet place and he was praying. And he was actively seeking a solution. He wasn't causing drama for the sake of causing drama. Instead, he wanted to do something about it. Maybe a hard thing to hear, but many of us are really, really good at complaining, aren't we? And when we complain to each other. And with this passage, we have a very valuable lesson to learn. And that is we need to take our problems to the person who can fix it. God can fix it. And he will guide you to the solution. I didn't say he's going to do it overnight. That's not going to happen. It's not going to be overnight. He's not going to snap his fingers and the solution's there. But he's going to guide you. And eventually, you'll see the solution to the issue that you're complaining about. But the question I have is, what do we have to complain about? Now, I'm sure if I ask you what do you have to complain about, you're going to come up with this long list. But in the grand scheme of things, are they really complaints? Is there really anything worth complaining about? I mean, we complain about everything. We complain about the weather. We complain about our sports teams. We complain about our family. We complain about our friends. We complain about our job. We complain about our church. We complain about the food we eat, not wanting this food or not wanting that food. We have all kinds of things that we like to complain about. But what do we have to complain about? You woke up this morning ready to face the day. You woke up this morning because every single day you have an opportunity to make a difference. So what difference are you making? Now, I'm going to ask this question. What difference can we make together? God has a time for us to work together to be the best version of First Christian that we can be. Because I don't have to say it, although many of us realize it. Our community needs us. Our community needs Jesus. And we can still just keep doing the same things we continue to do. Or we can all work together, standing united, because we have an opportunity to make a difference, not only at First Christian, but at North Vernon. We have an opportunity every single day to make a difference. So what difference are you making? I think it's a fair question to ask, what difference am I making? What am I contributing? The wonderful blessing that we have is God has given each and every one of us gifts. How are you using your gifts to serve God? Are you using your gifts to serve God? What are you giving back to Him? The other thing that we all have is we all make money. No matter how large or how small, we all make a little money. And are you giving back? Are you giving to the church to see us meet our need? In the bulletin, we always have our need and what the offering is. Are you helping get us closer to that point? In church, there's always holes that people need to step into and fill. Have you ever challenged yourself to see if that was you? If there was a hole, if there was a place that you felt like you could fill and be a part of. It's easy to complain, isn't it? It's easy to step back and be on the sidelines and telling everybody how they should handle it. But it's harder to be a part of the solution. But it's far more rewarding. It's exactly what God wants us to do. God wants us to take a look at our finances and see how we can give to His effort to help the church and to help our community have the difference that needs to be made. God has given you gifts and talents. Some of us are exceedingly talented. Others of us just have a few talents. But God has given us those gifts to use. How much of the time are we choosing to sit on them? God has blessed you with relationships. How many of us are pursuing those relationships to make sure our friends and family have Jesus in their life, or we're an encourager of their faith? God has blessed you in so many ways. It's time for you to become the blessing back. I think many of us Christians, we have our hands out. We want to receive the blessings of God. But how many of us are really trying to be a blessing in return? Instead of asking, how can I get my way? Instead of asking, how can this help me? Maybe the question you should ask is, how can I be a blessing? How can I help make a difference that needs to be made? Now is the time. What are you going to do with it? It's easy to complain. It's harder to make a difference. Now, the next attitude, the final attitude that we need to talk about is the attitude of being narrow-minded. Let's take a look at verse 21 through 23. Moses replied, "In the middle of the people with 600,000 foot soldiers, yet you say, I will give them meat, and they will eat for a month. If flocks and herds are slaughtered for them, would they have enough? Or if all the fish in the sea were caught for them, would they have enough?" The Lord answered Moses, "Is the Lord's power limited? You will see whether or not what I have promised will happen to you." The things that I brought up, giving financially, giving of your gifts, giving of your talents, taking time to pray. Do you pray for our church? Do you pray for loved ones and the people that you care for? All those challenges that I'm presenting to you today to think about and consider, don't answer those with, "I'm doing what I can, leave me alone." Because that's being narrow-minded. Moses was given a challenge. He said, "Feed them meat." And Moses made a decision to choose to think practically. Well, there's various areas in your life where thinking practical is the best way to be. If you're buying gifts for somebody for Christmas or birthdays, I'm telling you, people like practical gifts. In your everyday life, sometimes your prioritize is what's practical. So there's nothing wrong with that. The problem when practical becomes an issue is when our mind is so focused on what's practical that we refuse to see what God's doing in our life. or what God can do. Don't limit God. Don't allow Satan to put a limitation on God's powers and His gifts and what He's doing in your life. God doesn't change. The only thing that changes at times our view of Him changes. Sometimes we're on fire, we're following God, and we're focused on Him. Other times He's on the background. But don't limit God. The God who worked through Moses with all his sinful nature, all his valuable things, and all the things that mistakes he made, God still did amazing things through him. And here Moses is even questioning God. I challenge you to put your faith in a strong God. Put your trust in a God who works mighty works, who will do amazing things. Give to the point that you have to rely on God. Pray to the point that you don't know what to pray for by the time you're done with your prayer. Study to reveal His nature, His word to you. Open up your hearts. Open up your minds. Because God wants to do amazing things. Quit fighting Him. Quit limiting what He can do. Stop being narrow-minded. Stop just staying in your comfort zone. It's time for our lives to be opened up. It's time for our minds to follow God's leading. And that's scary because when God's leading your life, you're losing control. You no longer have control of your life. And when God is laying something on your heart, it's easy to say no. But I'm telling you, there's nothing like saying yes. God is working in your life. I know that. I believe that. God has a vision for your life. I believe that with all my heart. The difference between those who are pursuing it and those who aren't is Moses right here. Those who aren't pursuing God's vision for your life is because our mind is just set. This is what I want. This is what I need to do. I know God is laying this on my heart, but I got to get through this point in my life. I got to go through that point in my life. We're not willing to give up. But when we're pursuing God's vision for our life, that's what comes first, is our relationship with God. And when our relationship with God comes first, it's going to make you a better parent. It's going to make you a better grandparent. It's going to make you a better spouse, friend, family member, church member, whatever. It's going to make you different so that you can make a difference. What is God leading you to do? Is God leading you to give financially more? Is God leading you to use the gifts and talents that you have to serve Him instead of yourself? Is God using you to be that prayer warrior when people ask for prayer? Is God using you to encourage and to support, to send that person a card or a note who you know could use a little pick-me-up? Every day God gives us opportunities, and every day we decide yes or no. Sadly, I think more often we say no than yes, because we're operating with a narrow mind. We know what we can do, and that should be good enough, and that's the wrong attitude to have. When I was kids, talking to my grandma, I knew there were certain words I kept using. I would say stuff like, I would never do that, or I would never do this, or that would never happen to me. And my grandma always corrected me, and she says, never say never. And maybe somebody told that to you. But when you think God can never use me, or I can never give enough, or I can never use this gift to please Him, the response I have for you is never say never. Putting our faith in God, we begin to trust Him with the little things. And then little by little, we begin to trust Him with the biggest problems of life. And that's when He plugs us in to the solution. A lot of dangerous attitudes we've talked about today. These are dangerous attitudes because it destroys your soul. It destroys you as an individual. It destroys your family. to stretch a church. But are you allowing those dangerous attitudes to get the best of you? Or is it time to live with a good attitude, with a godly attitude? Is it time to change your perspective? The things that I mentioned, giving, praying, giving of your gifts and talents, all those things may seem intimidating. But if I asked you to do the same thing for your kids or those that you love closest to you, you wouldn't even hesitate. We should do more things out of love and less things out of just being practical. As the musicians come forward, I want to read you a quote. I'm one of those individuals, I'm what you would call old soul. I like a lot of the old music. So if you don't think, well, I'm going to bring up as old, then maybe I don't. But I like a lot of the older guys. One of my favorite musicians who has been gone for a long, long time now is Nat King Cole. And Nat King Cole has a song called Nature Boy. I'm going to take a quote from there because the end of the song ends with this lyric. And I think it really speaks volumes to the attitude that we need to have. So to make a quick shift, instead of talking about the dangerous attitudes, now we're talking about the attitude to have. And this is what he says. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. Again, the greatest thing you will learn is just to love and be loved in return. So many things that could go through your mind, so many things that we go through on a daily basis. But what if we led with love? Instead of leading with practicality, instead of leading with this can't happen or this can't happen or saying never over and over again, what if we led with love? Well, if we practice what he says here, the greatest thing is to love and be loved. As we take time of decision, I want to make our usual invitation. Those of you who have never accepted Jesus Christ, your personal Lord and Savior, I want to encourage you to do so. Give your life to the Lord and be baptized here this morning. I open that up for you. If you're looking to be a part of our church family, we'd love to have you as part of our church family. I encourage you to join. If you're looking for prayer, I'd love to pray with you. You can come up front here. Pray on your own. I'll leave you alone. You can pray where you are. But those are what I'm advising you to do right now, and make those decisions. But there's other decisions that I think we should focus on today. And that is, am I living a life of dissatisfaction? Because I'm not focusing on the blessings that I have. Am I living a life of complaining? And again, overlooking what God's doing in our life and giving us a miracle on a daily basis. And am I being narrow-minded? Is God leading me to give more financially? Is God leading me to give more of my gifts and talents? Is God leading me to step in a place that I know I need to step into? Is God leading me to send that card that I've been thinking about? Is God leading me to send that phone call or that text or that Facebook message I've been wanting to send? Is God giving you the opportunity to encourage and to reach out to those who need them? Those are also the decisions I want you to consider as we enter into these final moments of worship. Let's stand as we sing.